Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the show. Myself, Big John here. I don't think we've got Paul Rimmer. I'm not sure if Pat's going to make it, but we have got Stuart and Boniface joining us. So I just wanted to go through a few things tonight.
Sorry, I'm back in the room.
Right. We're live. So I just wanted to go through a few things tonight. I want people to understand how important it is to sign up to a postal vote. Why do I say that? Because rather than just voting on the day you get your postal vote 2 weeks to 10 days before, so you've got time to fill it in and then post it off. It's much more convenient this day and age. Over the big C that we had, a lot of people went on postal votes because you just weren't allowed out and stuff like that. Now people said that it's can be used against the system. Maybe it can be, but it can be used against the system by everyone, including your independent candidate, including your reform candidate, including your Workers' Party candidate. They can all do this. So we may as well take the best use of what we can find at the time to beat the system. I print off the sheet for a postal vote. You have to fill it in: national insurance number, signature, address, name, and then I can hand it in at the elections office to be processed. And once they process it, you'll send another letter to the address. You've got to confirm that it is you, and then you're on the postal vote. Now, some of the forms have a limited time. You can be on postal vote for 3 years. It used to be once you signed up for it, you were up for it forever. But it's changed a little bit since then. But it is really important that we sign up to postal votes, definitely. And if you focus when you're knocking on doors and stuff like that, the people who vote for you, they will vote through that postal vote if you get them signed up. And it makes it a lot more convenient for people, considering we work 24 hours a day now. We don't just work 8 hours a day, 9 till 5. The world is open 24 hours a day. Someone's working at night, someone's working in the evening, someone's working during the day, someone's working in the morning. So it's a good thing. And I mean, as a candidate, as a running candidate, once I've been nominated, when I go to collect my nomination pack, I get given everyone's name and address who lives in that ward. And obviously, data breaching means that I cannot pass any of that information on. It's all well written down. I'll try and show you some of it tonight. So it's just a basic common sense thing. You've been given everyone's names and addresses, and they don't go to nobody. They don't go nowhere or anything. They don't go to anybody who's not authorized to look at that information, such as your election agent. So I'm the candidate, Stuart's my election agent. We've signed up, I'm nominated, and Stuart has the authority to look at that list. As much as I have to do, Stuart has the authority to hand certain paperwork in. Stuart has the authority to get certain things signed and stuff like that. So he has that authority. Also, your polling agents have a little bit of authority. They will have this list as well. So obviously, it's just common sense that you would not give any of them details out to anyone, which is data breaching. You get in serious trouble for it and stuff like that. So just remember these things, guys. These are just a few little bits and bobs of like if you're running as a candidate. And like I said, if Stuart was my election agent, he'd nearly have as much authority as me within that role. Again, signing paperwork, handing paperwork in, looking at sensitive paperwork and stuff like that. He has all that authority as my election agent. I was lucky, me, that even before we started the party, I had a friend who ran as an independent in Barnsley. So he invited me up, Daniel. So I was his election agent. So I went to the online meeting. It was over the big C. I went to the online meeting. Then I went up there for a week, knocking and delivering leaflets. So I was lucky, and that was before I started this party up in 2021. So it's it's good going and good practice. But I mean, like I'll be honest now. I'll be honest now. Obviously, if I'm looking at this list of where people live, so let's just take for instance, this is an example. Say there's 5 members of Stewart family, and they're all the second names are Boniface. So Stuart Boniface is Mrs. Boniface, and then the kids, grandma, whoever, and they're all Boniface. Now, obviously, on your sheets, you would see that they've got different first names. There'd be a couple of women thrown in, but I picked up my election sheets the second time I ran, and I'm not joking. In one house, there was 5 names the same. So that's the first name, and 4 names the same. That was the first name, and the second name were the same. And out of them 4, just one of them had a letter in the middle, like a middle name. So what did I do? I went back to the electoral office at the end of the day, that particular day. I remember getting up there about 3:30. I buzzed on, the woman come down. I got my sheets out and I showed her. I said, look, love, I can accept that I'm going to see 2, maybe 3 names that are the same in the household, but not 4. And I had the woman check them out for me. I'll tell you, I'm not lying. I'm not data breaching. I'm not telling. I had the woman check them out, and I said I want it checked. I'm in my right to do that as a local election candidate if I find something that's a bit off. And I live in Oldham. I am expecting I am going to see 2 or 3 names the same in on that list, and maybe with an individual letter separating them, the middle name. I am going to see it. But when it was 4 like that, it was just like, and I wanted the woman to check it out. Now, I can say I haven't talked to anyone at the electoral. I can say that was checked out. That's all I'm going to say. That was checked out. And I'm in my right, guys. I'm in my right to ask these questions as a running political party candidate. Nobody can stop you. It's not like that. You have rights. So it's just some of the things that I come across in running in the election. And I mean, it's unfortunate, but I've committed to memory several addresses across that area where there's been murders, gang raping, stuff like that. I just know all the details and these things, because I've ran 3 times and I've looked at this list hundreds of times. These things are imprinted in the back of my head, guys, and I can't get rid of them. I can't get rid of them. I can tell you exactly which particular house where there's 2 generations of a family been gang groomed, and I can tell you where the house is. Can tell you everyone in the house. Can probably tell you the ages and stuff like that. But obviously, data breach, and I can't give any names or anything or say any kind of addresses or anything like that. But this is the stuff that I've been working with for past like 4 years. So it can be difficult, but it's not too difficult. And I know my ward like the back of my hand. I know every address. I know every street. I don't even need a map now when I'm delivering leaflets, because I know where I'm delivering leaflets to. But it has got a good. It is well. It's got a boundary. It's got a motorway, and 2 sort of like main roads as boundaries around it, making it sort of like a rectangle shape. But I walked it when I first was running. I walked every single street in that ward, and I delivered a leaflet to every single door. I checked as well. I had my sheets with me. If it said, this is just an example, like Sunny Drive. If it said there was 10 properties on Sunny Drive. I made sure I delivered to every property. And if I couldn't find a property, then I'd check my sheets, check the area again till I find the property. I find what's up. It could be an house that's split into two. There might be a side door or something like that. So that's what I did first. I walked me ward and stuff like that. And everyone goes out all the time and walks around their areas, so you know what streets are there. So it's up to you how much you're going to put in, is how much you're going to get back on voting. And it was a very short run from getting the party registered, like less than a week before the nominations came out for our first elections. Pat had already started before me, so he went. His leaflet said independent, but I managed to get the time and get leaflets out that had National Housing Party on. And my first election in Oldham, and I only delivered leaflets and talked to some people I know, 176 votes, which was it's exceptional. It's exceptional for an independent candidate who's not linked to any kind of party. It's very exceptional. Pat had a similar kind of vote, and we had another similar kind of vote in South Gloucester as well. Where as an independent or a small, tiny party, we get a couple of hundred votes first time. And you'll see on the list, you'll see people with 50 votes or 80 votes and stuff like that. I beat the Green candidate. And I think in one of the elections, I also beat the Conservative candidate, the Lib Dem candidate, and another independent. That was in my first run, so I were happy with that. Pat's first run, he was happy. He's been working for 4 years. It's a bit different in Oldham than other areas, guys. So Pat's elections are every 4 years, unless there's a by-election, so one quits or something like that. But in Oldham, we have 3 elections in 4 years, and this year is our gap. So we haven't been, our elections haven't been cancelled by Keir Starmer. We've got a gap. Our elections are next year. So that'll be the 4th year and the 3rd election in 4th year, which will be next year. There was a by-election that I did run in, but only 50 odd votes. I wish I'd never run in it. I should have just carried on knocking on doors and talking to people and going out in the area. So, I mean, what have I done in the area? I've got to know people, obviously, in the area, and I have helped a few people out. I've helped a couple of people out with housing issues. I've absolutely stamped down and shown that I'm not having antisocial behaviour in my area. And the last meeting we had, which was a little local meeting, local centre, the police were there, and one of the people who live in the ward, who's voted for me before, I never met her before this day, called Celia Glennon, and she was about issues she's got with something, and she heard me give the police, the housing, and the council councillors, give them hell in that meeting. And I earned my mark with Celia that day. She's told me before that. She said before, I absolutely I earned my mark with Celia that day. She's told. Who's echoing? All right, it's gone. So I earned my mark with Celia that particular day. But one of the issues I found was that because of housing issues, they're putting people who are disruptive in areas where people are vulnerable and stuff like that. And what made me kick off was there was 2 90-odd-year-old sisters in this area and another woman who's around in her 60s. And she was saying that these people are always banging on a door. And there's a policeman there, and he said, we don't have to answer the door. And I went, it's not that, mate. She lives on ground floor, and the banging on a window, so it's scary. It's not about just answering the door. And going further, I went to the public meeting, brought it up in the public meeting, And the housing association, who'd ignored me the first time, they emailed me the next day. And then these troublesome people have been moved on. But I was there at the time, and somebody who was helping me deliver leaflets as well. He got involved. He was beat over the head with a blunt instrument or something. Honestly, he couldn't make it up. So I stood up for him and went to the meeting and stood up. So, I'm not somebody who's just not going to do it. I do these things and I'll go to the meetings. Celia, she's voted for me since, and she's absolutely seen me in action. And then there was another issue. Celia's issue is with a place called Avro, which is a football club. And so I ended up going to the council with Celia and some other of the Avro issue people, and in supporting them at public meeting. I talked about, have they done sound checks? After we listened to some video evidence of loud noise, and got really involved. And I wanted to get involved in these issues because I've been going around the area. Pat will tell you the same. He'll tell you the same. When you start going round and you get to know the people and you listen to their issues and stuff, the roads in Pat's areas, I mean, everyone talks about that. You don't even have to live in that area to know about them roads. You don't. When we was at a London meeting, I was a bit late, train was late, and I had to get a taxi, a black cab. And as soon as he opened my mouth in the black cab about the roads and what they're doing, that black cab, he never stopped talking. And even when we got to the destination, he carried on talking for another couple of minutes while they were in the meeting. So, just big issues like that. And it seems a lot of the time that, doesn't matter if you're a local person, you haven't really got a say and stuff like that. Now, I know there's petitions. I know they do ask people. This is something we've got to look at. If they're building something that you don't want building in the area, it could be a school, it could be a mosque, it could be a religious building, but it might be damaging to the traffic and stuff in the area. It might be damaging like that. In Oldham, we have a lot of small roads, and with so many cars now, if you build something on somewhere that needs car parking, you're going to trash the area. You're going to trash the area and stuff like that. And but yeah, anyway, let's get on to Pat, because I go on about traffic in Oldham, but traffic in London is a lot worse. Pat,
what's my sound check like? Is it any good?
Sound brilliant.
Yeah, go to Stuart first. He hasn't spoke.
Go on, Stuart. Go on, Stuart.
I have got a little question for you, John. As I'm obviously very new and I've never experienced postal votes, I know that in other countries there's been a sort of disputed area when it comes to postal votes. I believe it was called ballot harvesting. So the person will come knock on your door and say, have you voted? And would you want to vote? And, oh, I've actually got the form here for you. You fill it out, or I can fill it out for you, and then I'll post it for you. Now, what was accused, that people were seeing, oh, they voted Democrat, or they voted Labour, or they voted this or that, or Le Pen, and then it's an accusation that some of these people have put the ballots in the bin or only posted certain votes that they knew. So in this country, is it the rule that you receive your postal sheet through the post and then you fill it out and you post it and that's it? You don't have people coming and filling it out for you and all of that?
Yeah, well, very good question, Stuart. Very good question. And I can confidently say this because within the past 4 or 5 months, we've had emails from the Electoral Commission, because me and Pat signed up to it, about postal voting. And that was one of the issues that we've had in other towns across the country. And It's stopped now. All I can get you to do is fill the form in to apply for a postal vote. That's all I can do. I can't touch a postal vote or anything like that. I just can't. I'm not allowed to. I'm not allowed to open any of the packaging or anything. I shouldn't be there while you're filling it in and stuff. That I shouldn't. All that is really out of it.
I'm glad that that's made clear to people, because, you know, I personally didn't have a clue, John, in the rules in this country, and it's only when you see news and videos from other countries abroad that they've definitely had problems, shall we say?
Yeah, it's a brilliant question, but like I said, Pat will know. We've both had the emails. We can safely say that's been thrown out. But you know, that's not the issue I have with postal votes. I'll tell you right now. The issue in Oldham is somebody telling everyone to vote a particular thing, then everyone voting that particular party. That's the big issue in Oldham. It's not the fact that someone gets hold of these postal votes and starts rubbing things out. That's not the issue in Oldham. The issue is, I'll tell you, that I've got to be bluntly straight, is the imam telling everyone to vote that. That's the issue, without giving them the right that they should pick who to vote for. And you know what compounds this is that there's so many people who don't even speak English. So I can't even communicate with somebody at the door about electioning because he can't speak English. You know what I mean?
And the thing is with that, if the imam says to vote this way, you not only get the father's vote, you automatically get every woman in the household vote. And normally you get every male vote because everybody follows the imam. So the women don't have the right in their own homes to choose their vote.
Yeah, that's if they're all the same, but they're not. A lot of them will vote differently because we've got conservative Muslim voters, we've got Labour Muslim voters, now we've got independent Muslim. So everyone votes different, but that is one of the big issues that's been brought up nationwide. But it's up to people like us to. So let's say I was visiting a mosque and then he suddenly started telling everyone to vote Labour, it's up to me to report it, Stuart. It's up to me to report that. You know what I mean? It's up to me if I see something dodgy. When we was at the Barnsley election, and Daniel, what we did, he had 5 polling stations, I think, in his area. And I had to get the seal numbers off 2 of these polling stations in Barnsley. So I went to the first one, and then he was outside, dropped me off at the second one. And I spent 10 minutes in there. You know why I spent 10 minutes? Because the guy couldn't even seal the box properly. Couldn't even seal the box properly in front of me. So when he finally got it sealed, I took the number. And then when I first ran in Barnsley, I read all the instructions. So I took that number so I can check that number at the main hall, Stuart. I can check that number at the main hall. And they started to open the boxes without asking anyone if they wanted to check them. I went, excuse me, you haven't asked me. Everyone stopped. I said, John Lawrence, Daniel Simpson's election agent. I said, you haven't asked me if I've got 2 numbers here of boxes. And one of them's there, and you're going to open it. You haven't asked me if I can look at the seal. Honestly. And it sort of like brought a wave of like hesitancy to the entire thing. You know, I've been working up for it. Daniel asked me. I did my homework. I read every fucking leaflet, the paperwork to do with the nomination things about 100 times. I memorized it. I knew what I was doing.
John, sorry to butt in, but going back to when you're there and they're opening the boxes, are they not supposed to have independent checkers so that somebody checks off every single seal?
Well, I mean, it's up to you. If you're like, you've got to remember, there's a Labour candidate, Conservative, Lib Dem. Let's just say there's 3 different candidates now, and like the candidate or the election agent has checked these seals, or the polling agent, whoever has checked these seals, then when they get back to the place, they're supposed to say to everyone around, look, candidates from heaven, we're opening your boxes. That's what they do. And then everyone looks that way and you all start opening all the boxes and stuff like that. But it would depend from council to council how strict and stringent these rules are. But it's up to us, if we're getting involved, to call out things that we see that are wrong. And, I might find that the system they have with opening the votes isn't like correct. And then I'd talk to other councillors, then we'd say, look, more than 50% of us said that's not right, it's not correct, that we need to start doing it a certain way. I've taught people, I've been a staff trainer in several companies, so I understand all these kind of things. And so it's up to us. We can say it's corrupt, and like you said, what you said is genuine stuff. I could bring up 100 cases where that's happened in the UK, Stuart. I can bring up cases in Peterborough. I can bring up cases in Rochdale. Can bring up cases in Yorkshire where that's sort of stuff that you said's happened. But it's up to other people to stop it and call it out. And I've seen George Galloway call out the Batley by-election when there was vote sacks going in unsealed, and you could see on the top, you could see the votes, and it was all filmed. Yorkshire Rose had it on film. I had some on film and someone else, and we seen that. And because we saw that, George has got that footage and put a complaint in straight away, to the count at Batley, and made him. I don't know what the end thing was of it all, but he did an official complaint. And now Rochdale, the other week, they had a by-election, and it's been filmed and witnessed by several candidates from across different parties, independents, Reform, Conservative. I think the Lib Dems has said something. And what happened is, when you count so many, they'll count like 10. They'll count piles of 10 or 20 of 10. And they put them on another pile. And then that pile will get checked later. And apparently, according to the video and what everyone I've seen on social media, is they put someone else's piles of votes on the Labour pile. So they've called it out, and they've absolutely called it out in that election. And the good thing about it, the Reform candidates made an official complaint, the Conservative candidates made an official complaint, and a couple of independent candidates. And so that's going to get seen to, and it won't happen again. But it's up to us to call these things out when we see them. It's up to us, isn't it? If I don't say nothing and it happens again, then I'm responsible as far as I'm concerned.
Some I don't know if you know about Canada, but in the last couple of days, they've cast doubts on their general election, because some people, when they did their postal vote, the envelope that they put it in had the wrong postal code. And what they do is, with their postal votes, they put a return address if it doesn't go right. And there was one place where the vote gave it to the Liberals by one vote. And this woman was saying, this is my one vote, could have made all the difference. How many other people like me, got the wrong envelope, etc. So there are things that can go wrong, but I've got to say we need stringent controls, and the controls you're saying seem to be pretty good, but still have maybe I can't think of the word. Maybe there are improvements that can be made.
Yeah, definitely. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm looking at, to make improvements in stuff like that when I'm a councillor. 100%, because we need to get people to vote. And if we can't believe that they believe it's all fair by calling out ourselves, then we've lost the cause. We've lost the cause. But the integrity of voting is high at the moment. It's not so easy for them to get away with stuff, especially not with so many different kinds of groups and independents in a council now. You know, before, when it was the top three, they could get away with anything. And I know people who've been screwed over running as candidates, and you know, like, because the council is its own judge, jury, and they've been sacked and stuff like that. And you know, I've seen this, but you know, it's up to us to be strong and to call it out when it comes. But like I said, Pat's had the emails. We get regular emails when they're updating things within the electoral system, and that was one of them about the postal packaging. So I would never touch that. I don't even think I'm allowed to deliver it. No, even if it's sealed, Pat, I can't touch it, can I?
No,
No.
I asked that question in the rugby election, and I said, "Are you allowed to take it to the post box for them?" And they said no.
Right.
So even if it's a disabled person or elderly, you're not allowed to do that. You're not allowed to touch the postal vote. It's very strict rules now because of voter fraud in the past. And I was actually at the town hall today to sort out a few things, and I got an answer of one question. Cause I actually found something out recently because I've got a potential candidate who wants to stand, and but he works for the local authority, and there is a kind of a sort of what's the word?
Conflict of interest.
Yeah. So there's a given that you're not allowed to do it. People automatically think that anybody working for local authority you can't do it. But I heard there was one or two Reform UK candidates who won, and they were working for the local authority. But the answer to that question is if they lose, it doesn't matter. It's only if they win. So if they win the election, they have to either resign from their council job or resign from the election victory, what you just won.
Right.
And yeah, that's one thing I found out today, which was good. What's that interference? That background interference? Can you hear it?
Let me just
No.
let me just try. Let me just check. I've just muted Stuart. Now talk, Pat.
Yeah, it's gone now.
Stuart, poor Stuart.
Have you got something on in the background, Stu?
No. It was all right until you come on, Pat.
No, it was there all the time. I noticed it.
Anyway,
it doesn't.
I'll keep it muted.
So yeah. In the town hall today, and
You just want me to shut up, didn't you?
yeah, so it's good visit today. Spoke to the election people and that, and gave them some of my leaflets to make sure everything's in line. I don't want any complications to happen in the future. Been out canvassing tonight. Done my two days canvassing this week. Got it out of the way quick, which I like to do. Now I can relax for the rest of the week because I'm committed to go out twice a week. And got a few yeses. Spoke to one or two I'd spoke to before, and they were like maybes, and now they're confirmed yeses. So you know, it's all looking good. And I've organised a canvassing session next week with Russell White, the leader of the Populist Party. He's going to come with me, and that'll be good. So yeah, it's all looking good. And but yeah, this party was started. This is the whole reason we started. Is for local elections. That's the whole point of this adventure. And if you want to stand in local elections, you're watching the replay. Please contact us. You know, even if you want to talk about it, if you're interested in it, there's nothing to worry about. when I stood for the first time, I thought I might get people knocking on my door and stuff, and I haven't had anyone knock on my door. I haven't even had anyone stop me in the street yet, and you know, wanted to say something to me regarding this politics sort of thing. So there's nothing to worry about, and it's all fear mongering from the establishment. Like, oh, you're going to lose your job. You're going to, you know, people are going to knock on your house. You know, you might get people attacking you. This is all rubbish. There's nothing to be worried. If anything ever happens, you know, you could just call the police if you really want to. You know, there's nothing to be worried about. You know, when you go out campaigning and you knock on someone's door, you got their name right in front of you, so they know you know exactly who they are. They can't really do anything bad to you. They might say some words like, you know, not disagree with you and stuff, but it's all for the taking, especially in the big cities. The big cities, you know, is the best place to stand at the moment. Labour are finished. I mean, I don't know if you've heard about Keir Starmer's house. Someone tried to burn his house down. Well, I think it was 3 incidents. A car and 2 properties were attacked. And a 22-year-old's been arrested for it. Not sure if it's political or a love revenge attack or something. I don't know. So, yeah, it's all happening, mate, in Camden, because these, you know, he's from where I'm from. He's my MP. And, you know, some of you will know I'm about to start my petition because the drug problem is so bad in Covent Garden. A part of Covent Garden's in my ward. My ward is Holborn and Covent Garden and Clerkenwell. It's spread across that little section of South Camden. And the drug problem is so bad, it's just out of control, and the authorities don't know what to do about it. The Labour Party are not going to do anything about it. So I had an idea how to solve it. You know, the only solution I can think of is an automatic 4-week prison sentence for anyone taking drugs openly on the streets. This will hopefully stop them doing it on the streets. They're not going to stop doing it. We all know that, but people don't want people banging up heroin outside schools at 9 o'clock in the morning, you know, when people are taking their kids to school. It's disgusting. And so I've organised this petition. We, the residents, demand a 4-week prison sentence for anyone taking Class A drugs on the streets in Covent Garden and Holborn. And this is going to be a big thing, because one of the estates I go to, every time I went there, I noticed that there's all water all over the bloody steps. I'm thinking, what's going on here? Anyway, later on, a few days later, someone says, oh, yeah, that guy around there, he's a lovely old bloke. He pours buckets of water on all the stairs around the estate up near the entrances, so the junkies won't sit down there, because it's so bad that they don't want them around their entrances. And that, you know, I've seen them having a party outside, broad daylight, 2 in the afternoon. They're on the pipe, they're bloody banging up, they're all like creeping about, like the thriller video of Michael Jackson. You know what it's like. And you know, so this petition is going to go down really well, because even, you know, the reality is they probably won't implement what I'm saying we should implement. You never know. You just don't know. That is the only solution, but it might make them act. But the main thing is the drug dealers down there. If illegal drugs were decriminalised, there wouldn't be drug dealers down there. That's number one. So on a national level, our policy is to decriminalise drugs, put it into the hands of doctors with prescriptions, and then hotspots like Covent Garden, automatic 4-week prison sentence for people taking drugs on the streets.
Sorry to interrupt, Pat, but it seems to me that they've essentially decriminalised it by not doing anything about it. And while they're not doing anything about that, I don't know if you saw the video that I sent earlier. It's from a couple of years ago. It's only just come out because there's going to be court cases. An ex-copper put on an ex post.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
It was in reply to an anti-Semitic, so-called anti-Semite post. And rather than he said, "Oh, you'll be waiting at Heathrow for the Jewish," he said, "It'll be like waiting." He got the wording slightly wrong. There was no complaints, 26 views, and the special task force that looks into social media sorted him out, and the body cam as some of the officers going through like his wife's knicker drawer, also picking up books and going, "Ooh, that's a bit Brexity." Do you know what I mean? And also they went through photographs of his dead daughter, which really upset him. And this is an ex-policeman over a post with absolutely no complaints and only 26 views. It wasn't like it had 26 million views and people kicking off. It's just absolutely bloody ridiculous. We need to kick out half of these coppers, get in decent coppers, train them properly to actually keep the law, rather than, you know, this guy sat on it, didn't do anything about it. Then he thought, no, what they did was wrong. So he's now going to take them to court, and hopefully he'll get a lot of money as a settlement because he deserves it. And also, hopefully, it will set a precedent in the law courts.
I think one of the coppers. I think one of the coppers actually knew him, didn't they, when they was raiding his house?
Yeah, but they still handcuffed him, and there were 5 coppers.
Yeah.
Because apparently, if he kicked off, 2 of them would take him to the nick, and the other 3 would ransack his house while he's not there.
Yeah.
He said, "Oh, I feel a bit like I've been burgled." And I actually put a comment on there. He's actually been held hostage by the police while his house is burgled.
Yeah.
So, fingers crossed, it will set a precedent.
Yeah.
Right,
So going back to
my copple's still buzzing.
So, going back to the drug problem in Covent Garden, but the problem is, like, I know it seems like it's been decriminalised because they're not doing anything about the drug users actually on the street. But the big problem is the dealers. There's so much. There's the money is so big. What's involved? That's the driving force. What keeps pushing the dealers down there, and it's because it's illegal. But another interesting thing I found out, this is all from knocking on doors in Covent Garden. So one of the issues in my election campaign is to open up all the road closures, because like lots of parts of Camden now are like ghost towns because they've put all these LTNs in place. So around Covent Garden, there's not much traffic driving through there. And I spoke to this woman the other day, and she was really interested in what I had to say. And about the drugs and the road closure. She said, what's happened is, I've said this before on a previous stream, what's happened is there's no traffic driving through Covent Garden now at 8 o'clock at night. So when she's out walking late at like between 8 and 10 o'clock, there's no traffic about. It's like a ghost town, and there's just junkies everywhere taking drugs, and they've taken over the streets. And she just said she doesn't even want to go out anymore. She just doesn't feel safe at all. So this is all these liberal policies have just made things very dangerous for young women, and they claim to be for vulnerable people, and they've made it more dangerous for vulnerable people. It's just unbelievable. So, I mean, that's the update, really. It's all going well. And, I've been out today knocking on the doors. I made sure to get an extra 2,500 leaflets, because when you leaflet award, many people don't actually get to see the leaflet for whatever reason. I'm baffled by a house, because I knocked on about 5 doors today, and I know I've leafleted those blocks, and they say, no, I haven't seen it. And someone in the house must be a lefty and chuck it in the bin. That's my only explanation for it. But it's all going well, and we're all heroes. Stuart even said he's going to be standing in 2027. So Stuart's a hero as well. He's going to be a paper candidate, and that'd be good. And should have 10 candidates next year. 6, hopefully 6 in London at least. And we've got Lee Bishop in 2027, Stuart in 2027, and James Crane. He's going to be standing in Somerset, hopefully. So it's all looking good. The party's going well. This is what we're all about, local elections. It can be boring if you're not into it, but, you know, it's not exciting sometimes, you know, but at the end of the day, if we want to get these traitors out of power, this is what we've got to do. And, so I'm looking forward to John's campaign as well. And, you know, what's the latest, John, on your campaign?
Nothing much really. The town's in a bit of a turmoil, but a lot of people are not happy that the 3 Conservatives are in. That they're not happy. Even
Shocking.
though I've got to say, Cameron Gafford, he's a leader of the 3 Conservatives who got in. He's been doing stuff around the estate, but like he's tidied up one street, but across the road, another back of a street is filthined it. And you know, like it took me one time it took me twice emailing the council before they sorted the problem out. And you know, like I did a video and I even put on what I thought was wrong, and they went clearing the problem up. But you know, you can clear one thing up, but across the road it's just as bad. But you know, Lord, generally, like you said about drugs and stuff like that, there's too much of that on the streets and in the areas. And you know, I've been to them flats where you said that they always are, and stuff like that, and that's a big problem across Oldham. Now you brought it up; it's quite a big problem across Oldham. But other than that, everything's pretty good. I've been down the past few days actually collecting postal vote applications and getting them filled in, and I got an extra couple. I through somebody telling the neighbour something, and I got an extra couple yesterday. But no, it's good, and you're right. We need to focus. If you're going to run as a candidate and you're serious about getting on the council, you need to knock on doors and stuff like that. I'm just it's just been a bit different for me, and I explained this at the beginning, is that Pat's had an election, then his next election is 4 years away, and then I think he had a by-election.
Well, it's less than a year now.
But it's less than a year now, so Pat's had a solid 4 years to focus. But with mine, it's been one election each year. So I've done 3 elections on the run, then I get a gap, then I'm on an election. So it's exhausting. It's been exhausting for me. Whereas Pat can know he's got 4 years, and he's throughout all these streams we've done, he comes on, and I've been out 2 hours tonight. I've been out 2 hours. He's done that for all these streams. You can go back on every stream that he's on. He'll probably say that on every single stream. So, you know, it needs to be done. That's what needs to be done. I wish I'd approached it a bit differently now when I first started in Oldham, but it's gone past that point. But the knocking, getting out there, talking to people, getting involved in the area. I've been to a couple of the churches. I've been in all the pubs around the area. A lot of people go in there. I've been visiting, like the veterans. The last election, I went round visiting loads of veterans and that. So yeah, it's good, and I'm just getting well into it and getting more known by the minute. So that's the main thing.
Good. Yeah. Can I just ask you and Stuart, what have you heard about this latest thing about Keir Starmer? Because I don't know much about it. What is it? It's major news, isn't it? Like all over the mainstream media.
Yeah, he's come out and said that all immigrants that come in from now have to have a good grasp of English.
No, not that. I'm talking about the fire at his house and that.
I haven't heard too much about that. There was apparently some mobile phone footage going round. Somebody said it wasn't Starmer's, but next door. I really, it seems a bit vague, unless you've heard more. Before we move on to that, can I just ask a question?
Yeah, go on.
But I was on X the other day, and I can't remember who it was, but there was a post on there from a lawyer, and he has gone through the law, and he reckons that because the local elections have been cancelled, those councillors no longer are actually voted in. It's not that they've been voted out. They are now no longer voted in, and therefore they cannot make any decisions on behalf of the people because they're no longer elected. That's the basics of it. He did put up a long, thing about the law, but that was the basic synopsis. And I just wondered if you knew if that's correct or not.
Yeah, well, the way you said that should be the case, because if you're not going to do an election, that they should be defunct. But the reason they said they've done it is because of devolution. They're trying to devolution all the different areas, different counties of England, which we don't really want anyway. All this devolution, so it's all a bit suspicious because Conservative and Labour conspired on it, to be honest with you. And
they just want to centralise everything. Is that the case?
I think they're trying to do the opposite.
Yeah, they're decentralising it.
Yeah.
So if they're decentralising it, then is that not passing more power to the councils and the local elections?
What they did with the union, they said they'd done devolution with Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. They gave them their own parliaments, but not England, which is an absolute liberty. So that was devolution, and that's really divided our country as it is. We didn't want that anyway. And now they're trying to devolution England internally. So I think it's an attack, really. It's just a communist attack. They're just trying to dilute our whole country so much that there's going to be nothing there. But they're on the losing side now, and it's going to be, the whole thing's turning around on them. But I hope that lawyer is right, and I hope that they are no longer elected councillors, and that should be the way it is. And they should be holding elections as soon as possible in those areas.
I believe he said on there he's a bit of an entrepreneur, so I believe he's going to take it to court. I believe, from what I read on that. It's quite an extensive set of posts, and it took me a while to read through it, and a lot of it I didn't fully understand, to be honest with you. But the synopsis looked like, he's got a case, and it could set a precedent, so that it will make the government hold the elections as they should have done.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought that up, because it's really important. Because they was going to lose a lot of seats, Labour, in that election, and now they've held on to them, and it's not right.
Yeah, I what do they call it when you've got that's it, a constitutional crisis.
Yeah,
we were trying to call that a while back in America, but I think we need that. Nobody's got any confidence in the government or any other government, so we need a new way forward, definitely.
Yeah.
More independent voices. So to anybody out there, have a look at our website. It's streaming across the bottom of the screen. Have a little butchers on there. Look for our manifestos and our policies. See if you like it. See if you've got any good ideas to add to it, to expand it. Get in touch with John or Pat. Please do. And if you can, donate to the party? Because we'd love to have a few more leaflets that we can chuck around and
Donation.
get a bit of motion going on local politics.
I want some donations in, guys. If you're watching first time or you know about me, get a donation in. Get a donation for some leaflets. That's what we want. And we've delivered tens of thousands of leaflets. I bloody sound like but yeah, we've delivered thousands of leaflets. That's what I'm going to say. But we want some money for more, and we've got elections coming up, so you can donate there through PayPal. We do have a bank account. You can let us know in a personal message or something like that. We can give you details through there, or an email. But please help us out, guys. Please help us out. We're doing things, we're not pretending. I've ran 4 elections. Pat's ran 2 elections. We've had other candidates running for us. We're serious. We're serious, and we're not picking up 50 votes. We're picking up hundreds of votes, I tell you. And there's going to be some shocks in the next couple of years on small parties and independent candidates getting lots of votes because people are sick of the top lot. They're sick of them. They're sick of them, and it looking like we're just going to get a Tory reshuffle with reform. It really does, and it's annoying. It's annoying that we can't see how corrupt they are and what they're already like. So we need to book up, guys. But please get some donations in. Follow our links. National Housing Party running in local elections. You've heard us talking about postal voting. For a start, that was one of the things we talked about. Behaving in elections and stuff like that. Let me get me over. And obviously, I will mention data breaching before, and it says about data breaching there. And it's common sense that you wouldn't be giving anyone's address to a third-party company who send junk mail or to anybody. So, there's stuff to read in the leaflet. You need a few ticks here and there. Obviously, you're not going to be able to nominate yourself if you've been in prison in past 5 years for 6 months or more, or a year or more, or anything like that. But I don't expect people to be running in that kind of position anyway. You don't have to send in any CRB check. You don't have to do anything like that. You've just got to apply. You've got to have lived in your area, worked in your area for X amount of years. It's all easy. It looks a lot, the paperwork, but it isn't. And I did ask Ashley. I said, Ashley, did it look complicated at first? He said, yeah, but what do you think of it now? And he went, no, it's not that bad. And your first point of contact is the elections office. And what you'll find is that the people who work in the elections office are not politically driven. They're doing a job. They're just normal people doing a job. They're not councillors' wives, or they're not. It's not the councillor's job. That's not. And once you get to know these people, they'll sort everything out. If you've got issues with stuff, they'll communicate with you. You can communicate with them. Ashley had quite a bit of communication with the election manager, and I did meet her actually and some of the staff on the day. But I mean, elections as well. You can apply to be an election counter. You can apply as a person who lives in that borough to be at that counting them votes. If you want.
One other thing, John.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, just to let people know, if you did want to stand in a local election, you don't have to disclose your address to the public anymore. That was changed about 3 or 4 years ago, maybe longer. But
Yeah,
before you had to give your address had to be on the ballot paper and that, but you don't have to do that anymore if you don't want to. So it's nothing to worry about.
No,
and if you're really politically minded and you're angry about things politically, it's a real liberating exercise to do. When I did it, it was like a massive weight off my back because I just got all my issues onto the leaflet, and it went out through 5,000 letterboxes in my area. and it's really a very therapeutic thing to do. And I would strongly advise it. If you're political, come and join us. £22 a year, £11 a year if you're not working. And thanks for watching the stream, and I'll say goodbye. Thank you.
Well, it's 9 o'clock already. I don't believe it's 9 o'clock already, but yeah, as Pat says, you don't have to give your address, and I mean, it's not an awful thing. You could be a social worker, you could be a prison officer, you could be something like that, and you know, address don't come out. But I mean, a lot of people don't put their addresses out, and I'll tell you, you know, I've got to be blunt. I'm not that kind of person, me, and I've never had any trouble or anything. I just want to be a real person, and I believe that, like, every real thing I do will add to me getting votes and being a real person. Past being a real person is getting that petition started. That's a good thing, that. Petitions and stuff like that within your local area, that's what's going to get you more known at the council, and that's what's going to get you more known of people. It is in the area. The first year I ran, there was a girl, I think she did go on. I helped her out at the beginning, but I think she did go on to getting a petition going on about schools and the big C. So she did do that and carry on with it. But yeah, really good stuff like that. I did want to mention something, but I think Pat was going to mention it last week. Was you going to mention about that geoengineering, Pat?
No.
No?
That would be me.
No, yeah. I thought that Pat was going to talk about it, but let me just start.
Listen, John, I'm gonna have to go, mate.
Go on.
Okay, thanks a lot, Stuart. Thanks, John. Thanks everyone watching, and
Cheers,
thanks
Pat.
everyone in the chat. Cheers.
We're still live, John, or?
Yeah, we are, yeah. So,
okay.
So the government have put in 50 million into experimenting with geoengineering. Now, the thing I want to know of people, right, what are they doing? Are they sending, reflecting stuff, or are they dropping stuff on us? Because everyone says that they're poisoning us. Then the next thing now, geoengineering, they're reflecting sunlight. But it's an experiment. There's been no proper things done on this. It's an experiment. I just want to.
It's a cover story, John. Right? USAID, which has had their money cut off, which funded a lot of the geoengineering projects. So, as a cover story, our government are saying, "Oh, we're going to send up balloons as an experiment to dim the sun."
Right.
Now, it is going on.
Did you hear what I said at the beginning? What they're doing? Are they reflecting things, or are they spraying things onto us?
Right.
They can't be doing both.
Their cover story is to reflect the sunlight.
So they're not spraying anything on us then?
If you look into it, John, or anyone who's listening, there's a great website called geoengineeringwatch.org, and on there is a very, very extensive documentary called The Dimming. Now, that is a very extensive investigation into what was called conspiracy theory chemtrails, stratospheric aerosol injection, solar radiation management. It's over loads of different headings. But within that documentary, they actually go behind one of the planes when they start spraying, and they took samples and they replicated it on a second trip behind a different aeroplane. Now, the chemicals that they found within those samples range from aluminium dioxide, barium, strontium, polymer fibres, graphene oxide is another one. So when you see in the sky, sometimes there are stripes coming out behind the aeroplanes. They're all doing it at different levels, and there's different chemicals going out. A lot of it's being done by the military, but it's also being done by civilian and commercial transporters. So when you see those stripes that stay and they just spread out, you know, you get a nice sunny morning, a few stripes, a couple of hours later, it's all misted over. The idea is that they want to reflect the sunlight is one, because they're going on about climate change and all that, but they're actually bringing about man-made climate change by doing this and much, much more. So within that website, it is very, very informative. I will start people off with the dimming. It's on Rumble.
What's the website called, Stuart? What's the website called? I want to know.
Right. The main website is geoengineeringwatch.org. And that has extensive videos and investigations.
Hold on. Couple of questions. So, so a civilian aircraft, what you're saying, are they spraying, is that stuff coming out in its exhaust, or are they spraying it out separately? Is that what
they're doing the whole range, John.
Right,
It's within...
Yeah, hold on a minute. I haven't finished. I've got a mate, right? And when a plane lands, he goes and checks out that plane and makes sure it's all right, tire pressure or whatever you said. And these guys work on a plane all the time. Been doing it for more than 30 years. And he said that nobody will be able to hide something on that plane without the engineering crew knowing that it's on that plane. So there's very unlikely that on a civilian craft there's any extra things blowing stuff out. And stuff. I'm just saying, and the other thing is, you've mentioned a lot of things, but the other week I was flying at 38,000 feet and it was minus 71 outside. What does that do to stuff that you're saying is coming out of the plane? What would it do to stuff that kind of like freezing temperature?
Originally they say that it's ice crystals, but when it's ice crystals, they quickly disappear. Now, within the commercial planes, passenger, it's within the fuel. They've got additives within the fuel, so it's spreading within the fuel. At different levels, they're spraying different things. Military are doing it. Cargo planes are doing it. I always start people off and say, watch a documentary called The Dimming. It's within the website that I gave you, but it's also on YouTube, and that it gives you an extensive run through, and then you go to the website and then there's even more that's going on. But the dimming's a good start to get an overlay of what's going on and what they're doing to our skies.
So are they spraying stuff on us, or are they reflecting stuff back? You can only pick one of them. No, you can't be doing both. Can't have both of them. I mean, if you said one of them, I'd give you serious time. But now you're saying two things that really, honestly, my mate is he's not a pilot or anything, but he works on them craft when they come in. There's no way that there's anything else on that craft unless, because them engineers would know about it. They know about the weight, they know about the dimensions, the fuel's got to be tested and stuff like that. So, you know, like how... John,
please, all I ask you to do is to watch The Dimming. Right. And then you... I can't say any more because there's so much to it and so much proof that they come up with. It's indisputable. And the guy that's been researching it for 25, 30 years, he's now advising the Trump administration. So that's how serious this is. Robert F. Kennedy, who's now head of HHS, has said he's going to shut all the chemtrails down. So what's that?
Why is it saying that now?
I know it's hard to believe, John. It really is. But, you know, it was hard to believe that COVID wasn't very dangerous. It's hard to believe that the COVID jab was safe and effective. You know,
Yeah, but,
so
you know,
things. My own opinion is that have changed drastically.
That's what I'm saying. Until that geoengineering thing the other day, everyone's saying things are being sprayed on us. Now they're saying it's being reflected. But that geoengineering is experimental stuff. It's nothing in the range of what you think, unless everybody's lying, which I doubt everyone's lying. But like I said, the plane, my mate's a plane engineer, has been done that all his life. When a plane lands, he goes out with a team and they check it out. There's no way you'd be able to put anything on there that they wouldn't know about. You couldn't change a plane's diameters without them knowing about it. He has electronic equipment that can measure every inch of that plane and stuff like that. They know the weight to the kilogram. They know the weight of that plane to the kilogram. There's no way. And it's been my mate for 40 years. I don't think he's in any cabal lying about it. So that's my evidence that there is nothing added to the fuel. There is no extra tanks on the plane spraying stuff at the same time. I'm just saying that's my evidence. But if you can tell me more about the effects of the temperature on fuels, liquids, or whatever, if you can tell me more about that, I can accept it. And snow normally a snow crystal or a snowflake will be around a piece of dirt. So yeah, you know, you can make snow, but what this kind of thing does all them temperatures have? Why when the plane's lower, what kind of pressure and temporal pressure and is there affecting all the liquids and that? If people can tell me, give me good explanation of all these things, then I'm likely to believe them. But whenever we come to nobody says about the temperature. No one says anything about that. But I will watch the dimming. I've got it up on the screen there, and I will watch this afterwards. But I wouldn't be expecting any big things, but what I'll do, I'll take some notes and we'll talk about it next time we come on.
Yeah, I'd be very interested to see what you think, because it's.
Right, I will. I'll give it a good number. You know, I'll give it a good view, and I'll check things out, and I'm going to research a few things, and I'll decide.
And if you find anything on the dimming interesting, go onto the website. There is a vast amount of information on there, and geoengineering is not just what's going in the sky. There's a lot more to it. So all I say is keep an open mind. The information's there. That's all I can say.
Come on, guys, please. Donations.
Patriots. What we need is some patriots to step forward, join the party, add to our numbers, some patriots and some people who think they're lucky to live in the UK, because I do. It's not all fun, but compared to a lot of places in the world, you know, Ukraine, Russia, Palestine, Israel,
stuff. Yeah.
North Africa,
actually,
South Africa.
People who live in England and who come here to settle are what did he call it? They are what did he call it now? What did he call it now? That, you know, like the special. They've got things. What did he call it? Privileged. Anybody who gets to come to the UK is privileged, and people should remember that. Although, like, people don't remember it and people slag it off. They are privileged, and it doesn't matter where you come from in the world. Privileged place to live, the UK, and it's a beautiful place as well. Thank you very much, Stuart. Thank you very much, Pat. Thank you very much, chat. We'll see y'all next week, and we haven't finished with this geoengineering thing. We haven't. I will look at this site, and I'm going to take notes and do some research, but I'm not on it. I'm not on it because there's a lot of variables that people won't talk about. What are they doing? Are they spraying on us? Already reflecting it back, and you can only pick one of them.
It's the whole range of them, and a lot more. And I look forward to a lively discussion next week, John. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Stuart. Thank you. God bless
Bye
everyone.
now.